David Ardsmas here because if it's a Wednesday, it means we're going inside baseball with the former big league reliever and closer. It also means the NBA Weekly with our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. There is so much going on around the league. And mind you, by the time you watch this show, because it airs at all different times, different places all over the country, there could be new news that we don't even get to on this show because there is so much going on in the NBA as far as player movement is concerned. We'll get to as much of it as we can with Kurt Helin in this show. I want to make sure you all know we're going to be off on Thursday and Friday. SportsWrap will still be here. I just won't be. We'll have special editions of SportsWrap, bonus content, things that we've talked about throughout the week on Thursday and Friday. We'll still have our NASCAR preview with Tino Patino on Friday. Robert Lital will still be here, the founder of Black Sports Online, talk about some of the big stories of the week. But special editions of SportsWrap on Thursday and Friday. Make sure our affiliates know as well, so they don't go sending me a million emails as well. So all of that coming up on Thursday and Friday. We will be taking the 4th of July holiday and heading off to San Francisco for a couple of days. Looking forward to that. All right, without any further delay, a lot to do on this Wednesday. Let's start it out as we always do. It's time for the big story, which is presented by the Daily Wrap. If you haven't done this yet, go and scan the QR code right there. You got your phone in your hand, scan the QR code. And subscribe to the Daily Wrap. It's our Monday through Friday Sports Wrap with Jason Page newsletter. It's available over on Substack. We're covering the top story or stories of the day in that newsletter. It's simple. It's a quick read. You can check it out in the morning or in the afternoon, which is when we release it. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page newsletter over on our Substack, and we'll be putting more great content on that Substack in the days and weeks ahead. So you'll want to subscribe to that. It's free. And again, just scan the QR code for the Daily Wrap. All right. Serena Williams going at it yesterday with Maya Joint in her return to Wimbledon after a nearly 4-year layoff, sabbatical, if you will, evolving away from tennis, as she put it. And Serena falls in 3 sets. I think 6-3 was the final set. I watched every minute of this match. I was as excited as anybody to see what Serena Williams was going to be after this amount of time off with no tune-up matches against somebody 24 years her junior, playing on center court as a wild card after just a couple of quick doubles appearances. And by the way, she'll still be playing doubles in this year's edition of Wimbledon with her sister Venus Williams, who was there watching the match yesterday. And here's what I observed watching the over 2 hours of this match. What you got yesterday was Serena Williams. Simple as that. But it isn't that simple. Because what you really got was the 44-year-old version of Serena Williams. She looked great. She was slimmed down, much smaller than her playing weight when she left in the 2022 U.S. Open and played what we thought was going to be her final match. You still had the power that was there, but you still had a Serena that clearly wasn't in the condition. And by conditioning, I meant you could see there came a time in that third set, even late in the second set, where she wasn't going to chase down anything. Anything that required her to move a little bit more, she wasn't going to be able to chase it down. I still saw flashes of that brilliance that is Serena Williams. Just like if, we took a player that retired, from the NBA or Major League Baseball or hockey, if you took them after a few years and put them back on the ice, on the court, on the field, on the pitch, whatever it may be, you're going to see those flashes of brilliance. Because stars at the level of a Serena Williams, it's like riding a bike, right? But there are certain things that require conditioning, and I almost think there was a bit of hubris here when it came to her approach of taking this wild card entry, which could have gone to somebody else, I'm not bashing her. I don't want anybody to think this is a me bashing Serena Williams thing. I was as excited as anybody, if you've watched this show over the last week, to see what Serena Williams was going to be. I had goosebumps when she won the second set, but at the same time, when I saw her win the second set, I turned to somebody I was watching the match with and I said, this thing's not going to end well in the third set, because you could see she was out of gas. And it was just a question of whether Maya Joint could keep her composure in that third set, and she did. Even down a break, Maya Joint kept her composure and kept her game plan intact. And she beat Serena Williams in 3 sets, 6-3, in the final set. What does all this mean for Serena Williams going forward? I think that's a very fair question to ask. What is realistic? What are the expectations? And based on those expectations, you have to ask yourself, why is she doing this? Because if you're not there to win another slam, aren't you just taking up a spot for somebody else? And I get it, is that last person getting in the draw probably going to win the US Open or Wimbledon or whatever major, however long she plays? And could she still get herself into better shape and better form and be more competitive than she even was yesterday, which was a competitive match? But do you see her beating the best players in the world? Maya Joint had lost like 10 matches in a row going into this thing. It was set up in a way that Serena should have had a chance to win that match, and she did. But what version of Serena are we going to get at the age of 44 that makes us believe this is anything more than ceremonial at this point for her to be out there? Feel free to let me know what you think. I'm on X at the back page if you want to hit me up there. You can send us a comment through the SportsWrap website as well, sportswrap.tv. It was fun to watch. It had its moments. But ultimately, I think anybody who watched all 2+ hours of that match is realistic, or should be realistic, in what the expectations are for Serena at the age of 44 in the midst of this comeback that she's making. All right, lots to get to from the NBA. The news about LeBron James. We'll talk about that. Kurt Helin's here from Pro Basketball Talk at NBC Sports next. Hey, welcome back on this Wednesday. David Ardsma coming up later in the show. Our SportsWrap MLB analyst, former reliever and closer for Inside Baseball. Most guys get an offseason, like David gets an offseason when baseball season ends. Nick Ferguson, like our regular guys that we have on. This guy gets no breaks. All gas, no brakes. That's what they call him. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com hangs out with us. If he looks a little blurry-eyed, it's because everything going on in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I am unshaven today. It's like
you do. You look unkempt.
A little bit. It's been that way for. It's always that way. The first few days of free agency, it's been nuts, and so.
Oh my goodness, it is wild. All right, let's get the LeBron stuff out of the way here. I texted you as soon as I saw the news yesterday, and I want to get your thoughts now that we've had 24 hours to sort of sit with it. Is it as surprising now as it felt in the moment, or when you start to hear some of the rationale and some of the reporting that's come out around it? You've been around the Lakers plenty, being based in SoCal. Give me your level of surprise here.
Not that surprised in this sense. If we had this conversation in December or February, I would have said he's gone. Like, at that point, it did not feel like he was going to return. Like, for the reasons discussed, which is primarily he didn't feel respected in the middle of this, and he wanted to go somewhere else, and the Lakers were ready to move on and make this a Luka team, and so it was kind of mutual. You could see that coming, but then the playoffs happen, right? Where Luka's out, LeBron carries them single-handedly past the Rockets with no Austin Reeves either. And you're like, well, maybe. And then you start to look at the market and you're like, I don't know that he's going anywhere. It's kind of tough to fit. And so you started to talk yourself into him coming back. And then, no, he actually really doesn't want to. Like, the vibes from this season were real. He doesn't want to do that. So he's moving on. Miami, Cleveland, or Golden State probably, and the Lakers pivot and try to find their guy and find out who else they're going to put around Luka and Reeves. The problem is, whoever that is probably isn't as good as LeBron was last year off at the start. Like that, LeBron was really good last year. At 41, he was still a legitimate all-star player, and it's going to be interesting to see how they round this thing out.
Shams claims this isn't a money thing, that it's a happiness thing. All right, and look, I rolled my eyes the same way when I heard that, and I said that yesterday in the big story. Whenever they say it's not about the money, that it has something to do with the money. You say he's not going to go play somewhere for the veteran minimum or an exemption or something like that, or the exception or something like that.
Well, now he's going to, but yeah.
So well, okay. Then I ask the question: is there a dark horse outside of those three teams? Somebody that could be a contender that he makes into a real contender. Is there a sleeper in there outside of those three teams that could jump into this?
The team that got mentioned the last 24 hours in that mode is Minnesota. They have called the Lakers. The money is tighter. They don't have the full mid-level exception, which seems to be the going right now. Is 15 million is the mid-level, full non-taxpayer mid-level. Golden State has to probably trade Moses Moody, but can get there. The Cavaliers have to dump probably Max Strus in a salary deal to get there, but they can. Minnesota just doesn't have the guys to dump to get there. Like they're kind of locked in, but Minnesota's reached out, and there is a real respect between Anthony Edwards and LeBron James. And if he wants to contend in the West, he makes that team really interesting. He fills a need for them and helps. I'm not sure he goes there, but I'm not sure he moves to Minnesota for this. But they are at least in the mix. And look, if you go to Golden State in particular, like that's going to be fun. They're not winning. They're not a contender, right? Even with Curry and all that.
Even with Curry and Butler, if they bring in Anthony Davis, really, you're ruling it out.
Anthony Davis isn't going anywhere. Washington's just not trading him. They're just, okay. Unless you come in with a Godfather offer, he's staying put. They actually want to see what this looks like. But Butler, once he gets healthy midseason, Butler, Curry, Green, and LeBron, that's a tough out for the 10 games they're all healthy. But I don't think that there's still enough athleticism there to make that whole thing work.
Jalen Duren, do the Lakers overpay for him and make it so that Detroit can't match? Do they need him that badly? Is that like the big prize for them right now if they're looking at a big?
He is the best center on the market. I think the Detroit would match anyway. And that's been the look, Detroit has made it really clear. We will match any offer. We will not engage in sign and trade talks. Basically saying, we dare you. And they have the leverage. This is a really interesting question for the Lakers because you can make the offer. You can make the max offer, which the most they can offer is 4 years, 177. You can put and give him a team option. Or a player option on the end if you want. Detroit would think about that for a minute. First off, they'd take the full 48 hours to tie up the Lakers' money as long as possible. Then they'd match it. He's a 22-year-old all-NBA center who is vital to whatever they're going to do next. They need to get more shot creation, and we've talked about all this other stuff. It doesn't work without Duren's two-way play in the middle. He is perfect for the Lakers, but there's no way Detroit lets him go.
Kawhi to Toronto in the last minute here, and we could always stretch this out into the next segment if needed. How surprising is it? To me, it's not, given where the Clippers were that they moved him. Was Toronto a surprise?
Toronto was a surprise only because I didn't think they'd go back there. But look, he wants to get paid. They're willing to pay him. It's going to be a 2-year extension. He's 35. You don't want to go longer than that anyway. And this is a big swing for Toronto. But I like it because last year they were fifth in the East. They were a pretty good team, but they've struggled a little bit with half-court shot creation. solve that problem with Kawhi. And now you probably, by the way, have the best wing forward combo with him and Scotty Barnes in the league. Like, it's up there with Brown and Tatum. Like, that's a really good pairing with some talent around them. I don't know if they might have to upgrade at center, with all due respect to Jakob Poeltl. But in the East, that's now another team that goes in the, things go right for them category.
Yeah, and if you have them for 65, 65 games next year, 70 games next year.
That's the big question.
That is. But and he was that for the Clippers this year. We're coming back, more NBA with Kurt Helin. It's SportsWrap's NBA Weekly. Welcome back. David Ardsma, 10 minutes from now, as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. Right now, it's the NBA Weekly with Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com.
When you have David Ardsma on, do you occasionally just tap your helmet just to see how he reacts?
No, but I am going to today. When he says something really that I disagree with, I'm going to be like, I want a review. Tap my hat. I like that. I can't watch baseball right now. The Yankees are unwatchable. They've lost 6 in a row. So, Ja Morant to Portland. Don't they still have Damian Lillard? I was thinking about that like a day later. I'm like, don't they still have Damian Lillard? I mean, Denny Advia. Look, I mean, I like the move, but how does it all fit together for Portland now, going out there and getting Ja?
It's going to be interesting to see if they make one more move and send. Like, they also have Drew Holiday. Don't forget. You could wait until a team kind of needs a Drew Holiday and then make that trade, which is, maybe it happens closer to the deadline or in the season when somebody gets injured and they need to fill in a spot. But I'm not sure all of them are there long term. For Portland, look, new owner syndrome. He really wants to make a splash. He wants to use a baseball term, he wants to announce his presence with authority, and it might go about as well as it did in Bull Durham, but we'll see. Ja gets a clean slate in a market not in the brightest of media glares, right? Like, he gets, not that anybody's going to be ignoring him because he's Ja, but you get the chance to go right, get right. You get with both Holiday and Lillard are probably two of the best pure leaders in the league. And you get a shot creator with Denny Advia, and Donovan Clingan in the middle still. Like, that's a nice team up in Portland. That is a team that the fans can get behind and start to root for. The rally behind, they will be entertaining. And we'll see what Ja does with that. The vibe from every scout I've ever talked to now is that he's lost half a step. He's not quite the same guy. But he's also walks in the door as the best passer they have. And you don't want Damian Lillard doing all the shot creation. I'm really curious to see how that works out, but they become they become an entertaining team. They've already got plenty of athletes around that thing, and now you put them with Ja, and if they can get out and run, it'll be fun.
What's the latest on Jaylen Brown?
Boston's kind of stuck because the market isn't as good as they'd hoped for him. And they started calling around and checking and saying, all right, well, he's frustrated. What can we do? What they're finding is a market that they're first off, they're asking for a lot. As has been leaked, they've told some teams 4 first-round picks. If you can bring back players they like, then that's different. They've looked at all that, and the market isn't there. And this leads them to a really awkward spot of, do we take the lesser offers and just kind of, because we have to move on from him, or we sit down with him and say, basically, look, at the end of the day, and I think this is where Brad Stevens is going to land, I can't trade him for that little. And I'm sorry your feelings got hurt because you got put in a trade. Suck it up.
That's what my husband often tells me. He's like, just deal with it. You got to take out the trash. You got to empty the dishwasher. Deal with it. Exactly. So we've seen all these big player moves, a lot of major player movement here. Is there one that you're anticipating here? Take LeBron, put it aside. Is there another big name outside of Jaylen Brown? Is there another big name out there that you could see moving?
No, I'm not sure that there was. Walker Kessler is the other one everybody's talking about, the big from Utah, who has an incredible market for having played 5 games last year. But Look, he is a valuable archetype right now, a rim protecting big. He is somebody else the Lakers have had an eye on and met with. He's met with a few teams, but he's in the same problem Jalen Duren's in, which is he is a restricted free agent that his team likes. And so there may not, like you, if you can get a team to make a bigger offer, then and you get more money out of this, some team might do a favor to the agent, but I don't see Utah letting him leave. But that's the other name where if somebody put a big enough offer, the Lakers, somebody put a big enough offer on the table, Utah have to stop and think about it because they're not going to be cheap with the roster they have, and especially now adding Peterson, who becomes the focal point. Like, how much are you going to spend on this? So on a pure center. So it'd be interesting to see if somebody overpays. He's more likely to move on than Duren because Duren has proven it, and you're speculating a bit with Kessler.
Knicks get Landry Shamet back in the mix. They're able to get a deal done with him. It feels like they're doing everything they can without going into that second apron to keep this thing intact. Are they going to succeed?
Largely, the odd man out is going to be Mitchell Robinson.
Oh, that's the guy you don't want to lose.
Yeah, that's the problem. But they are already, I'm not looking at my numbers because they fluctuate so fast, but they are close enough to the second apron already that Mitchell Robinson made, I believe it was 12.7, around 13 million last year, and frankly earned a raise, right? Like he should be making 15, 16, should be at least mid-level money, which is what the rumor is for him taking one of those mid-level exception deals out there. They can't do that. Like they don't have that money for him. If they're not willing to go into the second apron, there's basically no way they can keep Mitchell Robinson, which is a bit of a blow. And he's going to be hard to replace what he brings, but he is going to be the odd man out.
Wow. Looking back at the draft now, as you get ready for the summer league here, what is which begins next week. I know you're going to be in Utah, then you're going to be out here in Vegas, where I'm going to have to take you out to an undoubtedly cheap dinner. What is your sense for, what you're looking to see as far as the summer league is concerned? What is of the greatest interest for you?
It's less those guys. It's not necessarily the top three I was going to say the top three. Boozer, Peterson, and DeBonsa are going to be fine. They're going to play a couple. DeBonsa and Peterson and Boozer are both in Utah. They'll play a couple games there. They'll both play 2 games in Vegas, and that'll be in. Caleb Wilson, I'm curious to see, get a real good look at with Chicago and what he starts to look at. But it's really, I'm more interested in how the guards come in. How do Flemings, how does Acuff, how does all these guys, Mikhail Brown Jr., all these guys who came in the middle, what do they look like with their teams? How are they fitting in? And Summer League starts to give you a taste of it. Summer League is also a glorified pickup game in a lot of ways, and it's not necessarily the best judge. But you get to see what these guys look like against other NBA level players.
Helin, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. He will join us next week from somewhere in either Las Vegas or Utah. We'll try and figure it out.
Don't think that far ahead and do math. Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Always appreciate it, my friend.
Take care.
Wednesdays on SportsWrap means Kurt Helin to talk basketball. And it means this guy who sits up in his bed and watches us on TV, apparently, I learned. David Aardsma, former big league reliever, closer, as SportsWrap goes inside baseball. Sometimes you forget we're on TV.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through at 12:20 in the morning, and Fox Family down here in Arizona. All right,
yeah.
And Andrea goes, hey, "Are you going to be on?" I'm like, "No," because it was like Thursday or Friday, and bam, I'm on.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. That's why we do all that extra content. That's exactly why we do all that extra content. You're on Wednesdays, and then we use some extra stuff and put it together for different shows and repurpose it for later in the week. I'm sure you looked amazing on your giant screen TV there at the Aardsma estate. So let's get into some things here. Look, Tariq Skubal gave the ultimatum to the Tigers: play better or else. They're playing better. I mean, this team has started to wake up a little bit here, David.
No, without a doubt. And that's the thing is when you get an MVP style candidate back on your team, it's past Cy Young candidate, an MVP style type of player on your team, that stuff matters on the field, but it matters a lot more in the clubhouse. And you feel that confidence. He walks back in the door and you're just like, yes, you probably had a couple guys like give a little, yeah, let's go, we're back type of feel. And then he pitches like it. I know they're still 9 games back of the Central, but they're a good team in a division that is winnable. And I have no doubt that this team can pull it off. It's just 9 is still hard to come back from no matter where you're at any point in the season. But if they get a couple things going their way, White Sox lose a couple games, they're right there.
Talk about teams going in opposite directions. Detroit's playing better. They're doing it at the expense of the Yankees, who've now we had you on last Wednesday. I'm like, yeah, Yankees holding their own without Aaron Judge. Everything's great. And now all of a sudden they've lost 6 in a row. And thank you to the Red Sox. I mean, that loss Sunday night was as bad a loss as the Yankees could have. You get to Chapman in the 9th, and then you blow it in the 10th. The Yankees have dropped 6 in a row. Is it one of these things where you just shrug your shoulders and say, this is the Yankees sort of going through that thing that we see them go through every year, it feels like, at some point in the middle of the season, and they're going to be fine?
Yes, and the thing, too, is outside of, bad loss, but outside of like the one game against the Red Sox, the 6-1, they've generally haven't been that bad of losses. I guess last night was 9-3. So the last couple 7-3, 9-3. I'm not too worried about this team. Again, what I am is like Jazz Chisholm, like what's going on there now? There's been so much drama around it. This team has generally been drama free all year. And it seems like he decides to bring all of the drama within the last week, right? Now he's hurt. Now we don't know exactly what's going to happen with him. Running into your outfielder, which I'm rewatching. Actually, that's not on Jazz. Dominguez, he never called for, or it wasn't so visibly calling for it out of right field, and they make the collision. But again, he gets thrown out of a game for arguing on a strike 3 check swing call. It just seems like there's been just nonstop drama with that, and that's the thing. This team hasn't had it. Like, let the play on the field just speak for itself, and that's what the Yankees used to be the best for. And like people would create drama around them, but they actually didn't have any. That's the only thing I don't like about it, is that now they've had things to talk about off of the field, instead of just talking about your play on the field, and lock that back in. Like Aaron Boone, lock that stuff back in. That's the type of issues that like you go out. And again, we talk about this. It might not be anything like this, but when you walk out there with a blow pop in your mouth, you start creating drama. You start creating somebody to talk about. Then all of a sudden, you make a bad play. Then all of a sudden, you get thrown out of a game. Then all of a sudden, now you're hurt because you ran into one of your other fielders, and you're hitting $160, in the last 15 games. Those things add up. We think it's like, just a little blow pop. That matters. And those little things, and this is a big point I said, show who you are when the big things happen. And if you're going to be relaxed there, you are not going to be prepared when it really matters. Now we're sitting here talking about it a week later going, well, they lost 6 and again, their butts kicked nonstop, and there's drama. Shocker, right? Like those things do add up and create a rolling ball. At
what point do you start to worry about this Judge thing lingering and not really feeling like we have a sense of when he's coming back?
If I start getting into post All-Star game right now, or post like that mid-July period, that's when I'm starting going, all right, like you still have the trade deadline. I don't know what pieces they're going to be moving around, where they're going to be trying to make some upgrades. But this team what they need to do is go out there, maybe bring in like the right guys, just right clubhouse guys. They don't need big, the biggest free agents out on the market, or biggest like names out on the market, free agents. They just need like maybe a clubhouse guy here and there, a role player, somebody like that can continue just like keep you at just above 500, and then Aaron Judge. But like mid-July, that's why I start worrying, because I need some bop back in that lineup.
Yeah, and Schlittler got roughed up last night, probably his worst outing of the season, David.
Yes. And again, the guy's been incredible. Worst out of the season, still has a 2 ERA. Guy's still absolutely dealing. I'm not too worried about it. I think he just basically ran into a buzzsaw with Detroit, who's on a roll.
You just worry. The only thing I wonder about Schlittler is the innings as they start to pile up here as we get later into the season.
Yes, it's not like he's 21. He's still a 25-year-old guy. I know he had 73 last year. He already has 104 this year. That will be a big, huge factor. If I can, I'm going to start slowing that up. Maybe give him an extra break here and there.
All right, David Ardsma is with us for one more segment. We talked about the American League. We'll get into some of the National League as well. Sports Wrap continues. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Sports Wrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday here on the show with David Ardsma, former big league reliever and closer. By the way, you're going to be calling some Little League World Series regionals. Is this true?
Yes, I'm excited. I didn't know what to think of it, but I'm so pumped for a Little League World Series West regional. It's out of San Bernardino.
Nice.
Yes.
Good gig if you can get it.
Hey, but it's going to be fun. You know what? It brings me back to, like, as a little leaguer, I would have dreamed of been playing on those all-star teams. Never did. And it's going to be fun to see those kids play and see that emotion and see love of baseball that's different than big leagues, right?
You did all right for yourself. Even though you didn't make those youth teams, you did all right for yourself. By the way, before I get to the National League, the White Sox just continue winning. I mean, they're 45-39, David. This thing's becoming real in Chicago. If there's a sense this group believes right now.
Oh, without a doubt. And the beautiful part about this, they believe, but they're young. They're so young and inexperienced that they don't know not to believe. Right. Yeah. This is the beautiful part of it. They don't know that they shouldn't be doing this. They're a really solid, well-built team. I still don't sit there and if I'm anybody, I'm not necessarily scared of the team itself, but I'm scared their belief in themselves and their not knowing that they shouldn't, right? Like, there is something to be said for that when you're going out there and just playing baseball every day. The thing about, and this is the thing that catches me, and this is where I stop every single time, they're basically middle of the pack in everything. Okay, they're middle in average, middle in ERA, middle in relievers, middle in fielding, like 14, 16, 14, 16. So there's nothing about this team that I sit back and go, oh God, like, I'm not really worried about it. I see them improving as a team, and playing good baseball. I also look at and go, like, they're just dumb enough and young enough to be winning great games, to just win baseball. Against a bad division that tends to, like, we keep saying this, there's no one in this division over the years that just seems to want this division and just to prove themselves, right? The Detroit and Kansas City should be running away with this thing. That's what I'm really seeing, is that two teams are sitting here not just dominating this division, and a very average White Sox team that is fun to watch, that very fun to watch and will get better and better and better, are winning. It's a very frustrating thing to watch when you're seeing two teams losing baseball games that should be winning.
Go over to the National League here for a minute, and we can talk about the Braves and Brewers. Brewers have been amazing, and what the Dodgers are doing. But the Marlins just finished out one of their best months in ages, and nobody's going to talk about them. They're the Marlins. They're sort of middle of the pack, 46-40. They've won 8 out of 10. All of a sudden, you turn around, and the Marlins feel like they're starting to build something. You even saw the signs of it last year. It feels like the Marlins are building something here, David.
8 out of 10. That's great. They're 20-6 in June. Guys, 20-6. This isn't just a team going out there and winning
Best
some games. They have been absolutely dominant over this month. Number 1 in the league in ERA in the month of June. That is dominant, guys. That's not like, we're talking about the White Sox. This is a team where you're going out there and just dominating in one area of facet of the game, and they're still 14th in hitting. So they're still right there in hitting. They are absolutely destroying it. Max Meyer is killing it. When I think 6-0 in the month of June, this dude has put himself on a stage on a Cy Young type caliber season.
What all
so
of
far.
this spells out to me, David, when we talk about all these teams that are sort of middle of the pack, is it's going to be slim pickings, or it's going to be very difficult decision making for these GMs come the trade deadline.
Without a doubt, when you have all these teams around, that's what happens is everybody kind of feels like they're in it. Everybody feels kind of like they're out of it at the same time. Then no one is in that spot where they're just dominating. Well, one thing I do like to see, and this is usually where you do see activity happen, is you got the Dodgers and Padres at the top, Brewers and Cubs at the top with the Cardinals right there too. Braves, Phillies at the top on the National League side. Go to the American League side, Yankees are still right there. White Sox don't really tend to make big moves, but you still have the Rangers, Mariners, and Astros kind of there. So you have the big dogs at the top, and then you have everybody else kind of right there with them. When you have big dogs at the top, big dogs kind of want to make big moves, and that might push the market, that might move it. But again, even the worst teams, like, they're not a whole lot there. I do like seeing a Red Sox team at the bottom. That means they're going to move guys. I don't like seeing them. I see a Royals at the bottom. They might move guys. Like Angels could move everybody. But the Giants should be absolute sellers, and the Giants could own this entire marketplace. They could. The Giants and Red Sox should own the entire marketplace on talent and trading.
You and Nick, you and Sam agree on this, and I don't. I don't think the Red Sox are going to be sellers. I don't think they're going to be sellers.
I like what.
As of right now, I don't think they are. As of right now, I don't think they are. They're 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. 6 weeks till the trade deadline. They're not sellers right now.
And they're 13 out of the division.
But forget the division. You're not winning the division.
The Red Sox and Craig Breslow can't, wild card isn't just getting in the wild card isn't good enough to keep him in his job. The problem though is trading will lose his job for sure. I guess that's the only thing for me. There's reason it's not going to happen is if he trades everybody, he's going to for sure get fired. Because they can't stick around for another rebuild, and they're not showing that they just want to throw the money out there that they have in the past.
David Aertsma does a great job on Major League Baseball and apparently Little League Baseball because he's going to be doing the regionals out there in San Bernardino. We'll do some bonus content with him. You'll see that on Thursday's show as well as on YouTube. David, for this Wednesday, though, we appreciate you. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Again, special editions of Sports Wrap Thursday and Friday. Some bonus content from some conversations we had on the show this week. We'll also still have Tino Patino to preview this weekend's NASCAR race in Chicago. Robert Lital, the founder of Black Sports Online, will still be here on Friday, but a smorgasbord, if you will, on Thursday and Friday. We'll be taking a couple of days off for the 4th of July holiday as we inch closer to the start of NFL season when it is full throttle basically from September until the end of March Madness. So we have to get in our days where we can. As our buddy Sam Yarnell says, get in where you fit in. That's what we'll be trying to do. A couple of reminders before we go. As I said, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, the audio version of this show available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast. You can listen to this show, crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, and this is the place for all things video related to the show. We have the Monday through Friday TV version of the show, commercial-free, 45 minutes waiting for you early each afternoon. We also have Sports Wrap Shorts, extended conversations, Sports Wrap Originals. In the case of Sports Wrap Shorts, 1 to 3 minute long videos, news breaks. We jump in on Sports Wrap Shorts, give you the latest news, quick analysis, easy to digest, available on our YouTube channel. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, also available on our Instagram by the same name, Sports Wrap Jason Page. If you're not following us there, go and do it. We very much appreciate it. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page website has everything to do with the show. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show, clips from the show, the audio podcast, the Substack newsletter, find your affiliate. If you've always wanted to know, where could I find the show in my area? Or maybe I'm traveling and I want to be able to still watch the show. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page website, sportswrap.tv, has all that information. All you do is plug in your city, your state, boom, you can find out where to watch the show on over 270 affiliates in the U.S. and Canada. We appreciate you doing that as well. Check out the website. It's fantastic. All right, without any further delay on this Wednesday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, NBA free agency. You saw Kurt Helin on earlier in the show talking about some players that could be on the move. Well, they're moving. Walker Kessler is among a whole slew of new Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers signing a bunch of players here during the time that we were putting the show together, including Sandro Mamukelashvili. You like it? I got that one right. Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton, Walker Kessler, all going to the Lakers on multi-year deals. Look, we said they had a ton of money with LeBron James announcing that he wasn't coming back to the team, some $50 million. And they went out and spent it, maybe like drunken sailors. And maybe they believe that Mamukelashvili, who's getting 4 years, $52 million, can be that big that they have been sort of having their eyes on. Grimes gets 4 years and $60 million. Colin Sexton gets 2 years and $19 million. And again, Walker Kessler is a huge deal for this team. The Lakers trading for Walker Kessler for unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, and first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. Kessler gets 4 years, $130 million. So now you add him to Austin Reeves. You add him to Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura. This Lakers roster is starting to take shape. It's going to be a different team without LeBron James. Make no mistake about it. But it is still going to be a team with a formidable roster for J.J. Redick to obviously work with. Odds and ends, it is the World Cup, and finally the wait is over. It feels like a million days in between these games. The United States taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina on Wednesday night. By the time you see this, there may already be a result to that game. Sometimes we hear early in certain markets. Sometimes we hear later. USA is minus 600 to win the game. Bosnia is plus 410. All I'm going to say about this is, United States, don't let this thing get to penalty kicks, because we've seen a number of teams, good teams, Germany, the Netherlands, amongst those that just come to mind off the top of my head, that have lost in this knockout round as a result of low-scoring games that drag into extra time and then eventually drag into penalty kicks. The United States should win this game. They should be on to the round of 16. But nothing is a given in this year's World Cup, where it feels like outside of a couple of teams, maybe Brazil, you want to throw Argentina into the mix, there aren't a lot of teams that have played necessarily to the top of their capabilities. Well, now's the time where the United States is going to have to do that. Everybody's rested. Christian Pulisic is healthy after dealing with an injury. So we'll see what the United States does in that game. We'll have a recap of that on tomorrow's show. Don't worry, even though we're kind of not here, we will have a recap of that on tomorrow's show for you as well. And that wraps it up for this Wednesday edition of the show. Thank you so much to our friends, the great Kurt Helin, pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com. The man, David Ardsma, former big league reliever and closer, hanging out with us as Sports Wrap goes inside baseball. We'll see all of you here tomorrow for a Thursday edition of Sports Wrap, Friday as well. Have yourselves a great holiday. If I don't talk to you before then, I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.